I'm Karen Chrisco, and this is my cancer story. It was in 1987. My husband and I were in Okinawa, Japan on a military duty assignment. And on April 13th, on my birthday, I found out that I was pregnant. And it was very exciting for both of us. We already had a little boy. And a week or so later, I lost the baby. And so I was instructed by the doctor to take the remains that I had passed and bring it in to him so that they could test it and make sure that there was no other tissue inside. They wanted to do more tests after that to make sure that I wasn't either still pregnant or maybe an additional pregnancy, because you can get pregnant right away. When they found that there was no other pregnancy, they decided to do a D&C, which is a scraping of the uterus wall to make sure there's no other tissue left over. So after that, it was about a week and a half. I was not in any pain. I didn't have any bleeding, so we thought everything was fine. And then it happened again. I started bleeding profusely and a lot of cramping. Went back into the doctor, and they decided to do more tests. He said this is a possibility that it was cancer. And they wanted to do a scan of my kidneys and my liver to make sure that if it was cancer, it was not going to spread in those areas. Meantime, we're still waiting on the pathology results of the actual fetus that we thought that I had passed. And it turned out, I guess it was in between the kidney and the liver CTs that we found the fetus was not actually a fetus. It was a cluster of cancer cells. And that is called gestational trophoblastic disease with carcinoma, which in fact is very rare. It's like 2 to 7 out of 100,000. But the doctor tried to let us know that if you're going to have a cancer, this was kind of sort of the best cancer to have because it responds to chemotherapy very well. So in the meantime, we're in our last tour in Okinawa, far away from home, and my husband is taking care of my 18-month-old son and trying to get everything packed up and get home. And in the meantime, I'm in bed all the time because I can't really do anything. So we decided that instead of doing an extended tour, we'd go ahead and go home. We got home. The military allowed my husband to take a month off. I had my first treatment in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and they allowed me to go 2 weeks without a treatment until we could get moved to our next tour of duty, which is all the way in Salt Lake City. So I had my next several treatments in Salt Lake City at the university there. It was an intravenous chemotherapy. Now actually they use this particular chemotherapy in a pill form for arthritis. And the name of the chemotherapy is methotrexate. So they would give it to me intravenous. I'd have an intravenous treatment every day for a week, 1 week on, 1 week off, and I did that for 6 months. The chemo, I never lost my hair, but I developed several sores in my mouth. I would get extremely tired. So trying to take care of an 18-month-old was extremely difficult. But everything went really fine other than being tired and having sores in my mouth. We did really well. After the 6 months was over, I was told that I could get pregnant again, but not for an entire year. They wanted to make sure that my pregnancy hormone stayed down to 0 and did not fluctuate for that entire year. Well, 8 months later, I didn't have a period. And so we were afraid that maybe it was coming back. And I was on the pill, and we were taking all precautions not to get pregnant again. So went into the doctor, and they said, we can't tell. We won't be able to tell for sure, but we will take your blood once a week to make sure that it's rising at a good rate, a steady rate. And when you're in your 12th week, we will do an ultrasound to see if we can find a heartbeat. And it just so happened to be that was on my birthday again. And that was my daughter. But now my daughter is 26. She has 2 of her own kids, 1 of each. So I thank God every day for her.